Hello everyone, this is Betsy from Ideas Times 2. Welcome to our channel. Welcome. Today I have a tutorial. So I have been trying to figure out how to organize my ephemera a little bit better, and I came up with this little pouch, and I wanted to just come on today and show you how I have been making these. So it started with this. It started out with some whale tail tabs I've been making. I don't have the magic punch or anything like that, but this is sort of like a DIY version of it. But I've been making these, and I thought, you know what, I have nowhere to store these, and so I thought of making these little pouches. In fact, excuse me for a second, I have this bin, and I thought it would be great just to have all my small type labels or the Tim Holtz minis like these. I thought it'd be great to have those stacked up here a little bit more organized, because I won't even show you what mine look like. They're not organized, I can tell you that. So I made these. I have a button and string closure on mine. We'll kind of go over some closures later when we get to that point, but it is an envelope style pouch, and then you can fit all kinds of stuff in there. So I thought these would be great for organization, as I mentioned. You could put them in a journal. You can organize ephemera. I already mentioned that. Like one time too many. I even thought of like a journal cover. I thought these would be a cute journal cover. I think it could be worked out. Use them for swaps, Happy Mail. Stuff them full of fun things and give them in Happy Mail, and then the person can use the pouch as well. So I thought they're good for different things, and so I thought I would share with you. They measure 5.5 inches wide by 5 inches tall, and they are flat, although you can put a gusset in them, which I will go over after we get started with that part of it. Okay, so I'm going to set these aside. Also wanted to show you these I cut by hand, so we're going to go over that. But you could also use dies, because this isn't too wide for the die cutting machine. Before you glue it together, so you can use dies. So this one I used a round die. This one I used an oval die, which I really like that one. And I used a fancy tag or label, I guess fancy label type die here. And so they have acetate windows. And this one is stitched. You don't have to stitch, but that's what it looks like when it's all stitched up. So those are just some more samples I made. So let me just open this up. So it's an envelope style like this, and then just put lots of goodies inside, and it's surprising how much stuff will fit in here. And it's made out of cardstock, so it's nice and sturdy. If you made it out of paper, it would be a cute paper craft too, but if you made it out of paper, it wouldn't necessarily be suitable for storage. So that's kind of what my thinking was on this. So I will put these aside for a minute. I might refer to them later, maybe. So what you'll need, and if you're doing the button and string closure, I would put 2 punch outs. These are 1 inch hole, 1 inch circles. So I would punch out 2 for each button part and glue them together. And I would do that right now so the glue is dry, so you can punch your holes and stuff later. So I'm going to set those aside, but I made those up ahead of time. So I use double-sided cardstock. You don't have to use double-sided cardstock, not at all. But when the window is empty here, you'll see white, or you could just line it on the back right here. You could just line that on the back if you don't like that, or just keep it white. White or whatever color, it doesn't matter. But double-sided I thought worked kind of cool, because I thought that was pretty to have some of the contrasting colors on there. But so I was using double-sided, and you just need a sheet of 6.5 inches, 6.5 inches by 12. So you'll probably start out with a 12-inch square, I would imagine. This is also a really good project to use up a lot of your scrapbooking papers. I have some that, for example, I probably wouldn't use this in a journal because of the foiling. It's not my favorite thing. I'm not saying there's nothing against it. It's not my favorite. So, but I thought for these pouches, it's super cute. So I'm using up some of my papers that I normally probably wouldn't be using. So I'm super happy to get rid of some, or not get rid of it. I don't mean to sound like that, but use it up. Use it up. Let's use up our stuff, right? So I cut it at 6.5 inches. I don't know why I just brought out the cutter, because I've already done that. We don't need that. The next thing we're going to need is a scoreboard or a scoring tool. If you just use a tick marks and a ruler and a blunt tool, that's fine too. The other thing I wanted to mention is directional paper. I use directional paper for almost all of these. Pretty sure. Like this one is pretty much overall pattern, right? And so was this one. But this one was directional, but when I put these, when I folded it and looked at it, this is upside down, but it looks kind of cool, just kind of sprayed down like that. Let's see. This one was sort of a mistake. The words are right side up on the back and wrong side up on the front. So you do have to sort of be aware your main panel is what you're going to want right side up, right? If it bothers you, like this kind of does bother me, so I might do a little collaging on here. It will look as new. It'll be fine. Here's another directional one. I made sure, but the pattern is very like sideways, and so it really doesn't matter. But for the most part, I have things right side up on the front there. I think that's about all the samples. Okay, so what you'll do, if you have directional, this will be right side up here. This will be your bottom flap. So always put your bottom flap, what you want to be your bottom flap, which is the part that comes up over and creates, you know, the back of your envelope. You're going to take your sheet of paper, put the long side up on the top edge, and score at 3 5/8. So that's one tick mark past 1/2. And then go all the way to 8 7/8. One tick mark before 9. Oops, I keep going crooked. I better look at this a little bit more directly. There we go. All right, so once again, that's 3 5/8. And 8 7/8. Okay, so the smaller flap is going to be your top, and the larger flap is going to be the bottom part that comes up. And notice it doesn't come up all the way because we want room to reach our hands in there. Okay. All right, so that's perfect. And then we put the short edge, doesn't matter which, top or bottom, doesn't matter. Put the short edge up at top, come in 1/2 inch on this side, and just score all the way down. 1/2 inch on this edge, and score all the way down. And that's it for scoring. I did want to remark, if you want to make a little bit of a gusset in your pouch, you would do your scoring as I just explained, and then on each of the flaps, this one, this one, this one, and the other side, you're going to score 1/8 of an inch past onto the flap side. Okay, and I put this in pencil so you could see it. So on the pouch, or I mean on the flap side, you're going to do an extra 1/8 inch away, and then the cutting, which I haven't explained the cutting on this yet, so let me just explain the cutting. We're basically cutting off, this is what we have, and I think you can see it okay there. So we've got a place where the lines, cross, like right there, right? We're gonna cut off this section on all 4 corners. Okay, I'm gonna grab my scissors. All right, and then when you get to the main body here, you're gonna notch it, just give it a little angled cut, and always angle it going toward the center, like that. Okay, so same thing on this corner. And cut it at an angle going toward the center. Flip this over. And you can do that little angled cut separately if you want. I just found it easier to do all at the same time. All right, so this is what you have. Looks just like an envelope, right? And you can definitely use it as an envelope. All right, I'll explain something else in just a minute. Okay, so then you've got your flaps that get folded in like this. Your bottom flap goes up, your top flap goes over the top, and then you've got your shape. So if you're folding, if you have a little gusset on yours, and when you cut, you're going to cut to the inmost line on all of your corners. And then when you fold it, of course, you'll fold each of those score marks you made, and you've got a little boxy type edge. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. All right, so another thing I want to say, so these are super easy to mass make, and something that will make it really, really easy to mass make is if you make a template. So just make one up in a paper you maybe don't care for, and I put top, bottom, so I know which flaps are which. I put the measurements from the edge here for my windows. I also put my holes in for the button and string closure. So if I had a template like this, I'll go over it how you don't need a template. Then I would just put this over, line it all up, and then trace this window and then cut it out. But I'll show you how to make the window if you don't have any dies, like these. If you don't have any dies or any fancy punch that will get you all the way up there. I don't know if that's even exists. I don't think so. I don't think that would be easy. I'll just show you how to cut it out. But this template, if you make a template, mass make these, super, super easy, especially if you're doing Happy Mail or something like that, or organizing like I am. Okay, so always make sure you got the bottom flap facing downward like this. Now, what I'm going to do is use a pencil. You know what? I might use a Sharpie type thing so you guys can see it better. So what you're going to do is, it's a little bit hard to see these lines. Actually, so I'm going to flip this back so I can see better. So we're gonna draw a line. I would normally be using pencil, right? And I already know it comes up a ½ inch on the bottom, so I'm gonna do this. Start an inch up, not a ½ inch. Start an inch up, because I already know that's what the measurement here is. And then go all the way to 2 inches from the top, which is about right there. Okay, and as I mentioned, so this is, my lines are hard to see, that's why I'm folding it under. Go 2 inches from the top, and I already know that this is 1 1/4 inches from the edge, so I'm just going to line up my line here. If you don't have a gridded ruler, just use tick marks and a regular ruler. So I'm 1 1/4 inches from the edge, so I'm just going to go 1 1/4 inches there, meet my line right there. Okay. I thought this would be easier with darker paper because I think the scoring, the actual scoring is easier to see on camera, but so, and then I'm going to go in, and remember this is an inch up this way. I'll go over those measurements again in just a sec. So starting at an inch up, draw a line to the line we made already. And then this is an inch from the bottom. So you can make the window more centered if you'd like to. You'll have to figure out your own measurements for that, but I sort of like it a little closer to the bottom than to the top. That way, if your items that you have in here are getting low, you can see what it is inside better because it's closer to the bottom. That was my thinking on that. So once again, I'm gonna tell you. So from the score lines, go 1.25 inches in on each side, 2 inches down from the top flap, 1 inch up from the bottom flap. So that's it. I mean, that's all the measurements you need. And like I said, if you have a template, you could just draw a line. And normally I would do this in pencil, especially if you're not paying too much attention. You could just draw your lines way bigger, and then where they cross can be your corners. If you have a pencil, you can definitely erase that, but I wasn't using a pencil. I was using a darker pen so you guys could see it. So now I will have some little marks that are going to show, but that's okay. I'll figure out ink or something. I'll do something so it doesn't look like stray pen lines. Okay, so I'm going to take a metal ruler or use a metal edged ruler. I even think these old-fashioned rulers have a metal edge, right? So use something where you won't damage your ruler with a sharp object. So what I'm using is almost like a box cutter, but if you have a craft knife of some kind, that will definitely work. You could also just, poke the scissors in the middle and cut. Definitely could do that. So I'm just going to cut. Out to my window. The window is acetate, and I have some transparency sheets that I got from my work that no one was using anymore. It's a whole box of them. So I have sheets of acetate kind of at my disposal, which is really great because, there's they come, whatever, 500 in a box or whatever. I don't even know. And so I have plenty of those. But you could use packaging too. Just use packaging. I mean, there's so many opportunities to reuse our packaging that, so many of us have just order off Amazon or whatever, and we get lots of packages in the mail. Or even if you buy things at the store, you're getting packaging. So, all right. So there's our window. Also, you can use this for something else. I think those are super cute. In fact these are my cutouts from my dies. I mean, look at how pretty this is. Definitely could use these over again. Or, use them to make your, your little circles or your tabs or whatever, but definitely you can use these for something else. All right. So at this point, we're going to round our corners. I just think it looks a little bit more finished. You definitely don't have to do that. I'll show you as soon as I get these punched, I'll show you what it looks like. I punched them on all of my other samples. All right, so here's the bottom and here's the top, and you can see it looks nice and finished that way. All right, so now would be the time to ink. If you're going to ink, because we don't have our acetate in, we want to ink our window especially. Probably don't have to on the other things, and I'm not going to ink around this whole thing. For one thing, it's a very dark pattern, so I'm not sure, but my paper cracked here, so I'm going to go ahead and ink that.
It did not crack on this one, but I'm inking that anyway. So let me just do that, a little bit of inking. I don't want you to have to watch me on that. All right, grab my acetate. I forgot to get that. So acetate is going to be 3 3/4 inches. Let's see, I think this will be big enough. 3 3/4 inches. And if you have a sharp blade, you know, it's not wearing out. It should cut on your cutter pretty well. 3 3/4, but it's, but then again, it's probably hard on your blade. So you could cut these with scissors too. All right. All right, so now attaching the acetate, how do we get that to stay? I have not had success with glues with acetate, although I did find Fabri-Tac to be fairly good, but I still wasn't trusting it 100%. So if you have experimented with how to attach acetate before, let me know in the comments below what you think works best. In my opinion, what works best is double-sided tape. So I'm going to use double-sided tape to attach this. The other way, of course, that is going to work great is stitching, right? You'll still need to stabilize that acetate with a few drops of glue, but so it doesn't shift, because it's a slippery dude. But okay, now I'm ruining my chances to fix my little pen marks, but that's okay. So I just take double-sided tape. I had a giant roll at one time. It looks like I'm needing more. This is a 1/4 inch tape. You could cut this down a little bit and use just a little tiny strip. I think that, because it's going to hold just fine. This tape is very strong. So anyway, if you have a better way of attaching a window, just let me know, and then we'll share it with the group. So we do have a Facebook group, and you're welcome to join that. We have a couple of freebies in our files section, and lots of talented people who share their work, and we'll put up our tutorial videos. We'll usually put those on there so that people can access those easily. But do consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. We have, I'll tell you what, this is really sticky stuff, right? Challenging sometimes. And so what I usually do is just put 1 or 2 strips down first before I take off the release paper on all edges. And that way you can just lift this up a little, get your other release paper, and then just push it down. Oh, another trick I wanted to tell you. So I do have one little section right here which is still sticky, and so we're going to need to get rid of that tackiness because we don't want our items that are going in here to stick to it. I have this anti-static powder tool. I used to do a lot of cards with heat embossing. I still do some, but not as many. So I have this anti-static powder tool, which is going to last forever, right? I got this from Stampin' Up. You can get them at the craft stores. I'm not saying you have to buy one, but so you can get rid of your tackiness by just dotting that a little bit with your powder tool. You could use cornstarch or any kind of talcum powder that you may have. You could also just lint it up by, you know, pushing it down on your sleeve or something like that. You can just lint it up, and that way the tackiness will go off. But I don't know if you could hear the tackiness before, but it is definitely gone. It's that anti-static powder tool is actually something I've been using a lot lately because of this reason, or also when you work with silk and then you iron it and you've got all the strings, it's just super nice because it takes the static out of that. And so I run my anti-static powder tool over the silk, and it works amazingly. Okay, so now we have our envelope, guys. That's it. So if you're going to attach a button and string closure, now's the time to do that. I'm going to cheat a little bit here. First of all, I'll tell you. So from the bottom, let me measure how far this is. From the bottom, your hole's going to be down about 2 1/4 inches.
And from the top flap, from the edge, from the bottom edge of the flap there, it is about 7/8 of an inch. And this is from the top portion of this flap, it was 2 1/4. And then you'll center it side to side, of course, right? All right, so now that I've told you that, whoops, I am going to use my template. Line it all up, nice and snug on all sides. And then I'm just going to put a pencil mark where my holes are and punch away. So I'm just using the 1/8 inch hole. I've got some tiny eyelets, which I found I wasn't using a lot, and I'm like, you know what, I need to start using those. One thing I have against this tool is that it's difficult to see. There's so many shadows because you have to see underneath. So I moved my light. I hope that is not, no, the light itself is not in your way, but now you're seeing a bunch of shadows. But I cannot see. I should have maybe dabbed it with white and then I could see. Okay, and then this is to put on the button and string. You could, okay, that's the bottom, sorry. Instead of a button and string closure, maybe you don't have an eyelet set or an eyelets, you could stitch a little sari silk here and then wrap it around like this a couple times and then just tuck it under, and you would have, it would wrap around the front window, but I think it would look so cute. I think that would be a great way to do it. Or very simply, to make this even easier, right, you could, where did I put my, here it is. You could put a paper clip. So here's your top flap. I don't have any, you know, this isn't done yet, but you could just put a paper clip right there and it's going to hold it closed. So paper clips, some sari silk or a ribbon wrapped around would be really cute. So that is up to you. I'm just going to show you real quick how to put this button and string on. And I'm going to keep my light like this, if you can just be patient here. Okay, so I've got my holes punched. I need to punch holes in my buttons that I already made. I made this template just by folding a circle in half like this, and then lining up, I drew a line, and then lining up the lines and fold it in half the opposite way, and then punch a hole right where they meet. And so I made this template like that. I have a terrible eye for finding the center, so this was something I kind of needed to do to make myself not go crazy, because then I would make mistakes. Now if I had a handy tweezer, I would probably use that to hold this. Okay, so it's still off a little bit, but I'm going to put them in anyway so you can see. I'm going to scoot that one over just a bit. That one looks better. Alright, so then I'm going to put my eyelet setting tool on the setting part of it. Probably ink these up real quick. I'm going to see if I can put my light to the side again and see what happens. Alright, so I had some little eyelets. So you're going to poke your eyelet through there and then put it through your paper. And then get that eyelet on the little spindle part that's sticking up and push. You have to kind of be careful. I've ruined projects that way by not having, oh no, I dropped it. That's not a surprise, is it? Sometimes I just can't find it, and then later on I step on it and I'm like, oh, it's so painful to step on it when the sharper side is up. Okay. So anyway, you have to make sure that this is really on that little spindle. Sometimes you can see it right through the hole. Otherwise you can ruin stuff, which I've done before. Okay, so there's that. So then the next step is to glue this up. And I would definitely put the glue on the shorter edge, as you
I'm sure you would do as well. Because the way I designed this, these flaps stick up a little bit. And so that makes it too long. Okay, so there's that. Oh, I did that wrong. That was the top flap. Don't do what I do. That'll be easy though to get the, that'll be easy to get the glue off. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm going to get this off with you guys just because, well, for one thing, I want to show you that it was not ruined, but sometimes if you get that glue right away, it's just super easy to get off. Okay, there it is. All right, so then you'll need twine, ribbon, whatever. You need about 20 inches. And then we will just tie this on the top or bottom, doesn't really matter. I guess my thinking was top, but the bottom would be fine too. I don't think it matters too much at all. And then you're ready to go. You're ready to just wrap this. Give these a little nudge upward. There we go. And then tie it so it doesn't ravel too much. Whoops. I'm trouble with my knot. And give it a tiny trim. And that's it. That's what we have for our pouch. So, like I said, you can also use sari silk. That would be make it even quicker. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you would like, I could also show you how to do the whale tail tabs. I think that would be fun, easy. That would be a very quick little tutorial too, but I'll go over just a couple things I learned making these. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and make lots of pouches. Would love to see them. Put them on our Facebook group and we can ogle them. That'd be so much fun. And let us know what you're using them for too. That would be perfect. So I appreciate you and the time you spent with me today. Take care, everybody. Also, I wanted to mention we have a giveaway coming up. We now have 5,000 subbies, and we're super thrilled about that. Very excited. Cindy's working on a prize. So we are going to be having a giveaway. So please stay tuned for that, and we will let you know about all those details. Take care, everybody. Goodbye.